Good morning po sa lahat ng mga kadete nationwide from Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao, sa lahat po ng mga estudyante po natin, mga deans, faculty and staff, mga instructors, professors, pati na po yung mga registered criminologists, sa lahat din po ng mga takers for the upcoming criminologist licensure examination. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Welcome po sa Bikoyno. Ang Bikoyno po isang platform po ito sa YouTube na nagbibigay po ng libre, comprehensive, at the same time lahat po ng discussions natin nakalay na po sa latest table of specification. Before anything else, mga kadete, I'd like to inform everyone na based po sa testimonies of the takers in the previous criminologist licensure examination, may konting problema po tayo sa board examination in as far as alignment with the TOS is concerned. May mga areas po sa board examination na yung tanong po, yung number of questions hindi po naka-align in accordance with the TOS. Let us say for example, in the latest board examination, yung personal identification techniques po, dapat sa TOS ang nakalagay dyan is 20 questions po dapat ang lalabas under the subject personal identification. Pero ang nangyari po, kukunti lang po, hindi nga nakaabot ng 10. I think maximum of 5 lang ang lumabas based on the testimonies po ito sa takers. And this was also observed in the previous criminologist licensure examination. So, the bottom line po, mga kadete, professors, instructors, mga takers. Ganito po, sa mga instructors po natin, mga review lecturers, i-include na lang po natin lahat. Whether the topic is found in the TOS or are not found in the TOS, we need to have a holistic approach in our teaching. Lahat po ng topics i-include na lang po natin para sigurado po. On the other hand, sa mga estudyante na lang, sa mga estudyante po, especially yung mga takers for the upcoming criminologist licensure examination, I'd like to inform everyone and I'd like to remind you, if you want to review po, if you want to study in preparation for the upcoming criminologist licensure examination, unahin nyo po yung mga foundation na topic. Alright? Ibig sabihin, kahit wala po sa table of specification, kahit wala sa TOS, include nyo na lang po sa pag-aaral, sa pagre-review nyo. Kasi po, there are a lot of instances na ang mga tanong po hindi po naka-align sa table of specification. Just to be safe. Just to be safe. Mas okay po pag pinag-aralan natin lahat, pero yung pinag-aralan natin, kukunti lang yung lumabas sa board examination, kaysa hindi tayo nag-aral, pero yung topic pala na yan, may mga tanong na lumabas from that particular area. So, mas okay po, mas mabuti, i-include na lang po natin lahat. Okay? So, again, to remind everyone sa mga kadete po natin, especially yung mga professors po natin tayo na lang po ang mag-a-adjust. Alright? So anyway mga kadete, welcome po sa second episode sa discussion natin under the subject Specialized Crime Investigation with Interview and Interrogation. Tapos na po tayo sa episode 1 where we tackle about interrogation, interview, pati na yung admission, confession, so on and so forth. In this episode po, ang sentro po sa pag-aaral po natin is on the different approaches in the conduct of criminal investigation. Now, hindi ko po i-include lahat ng krimen na makikita po sa Revised Penal Code. If you want to go to the different crimes na makikita sa RPC, punta po kayo sa discussion natin under Criminal Law Book 2. Okay? I'll only be citing those different crimes na makikita po sa TOS. Alright? Unang krimen po dito, yung tinatawag nating robbery. Okay? This is just a review kasi po, redundant po ito, a repetition sa Criminal Law Book 2 na discussion. So, robbery. Ano ba ang robbery? Robbery is committed by any person, whether male, female, kahit anong estado sa buhay, with intent to gain, and shall take any personal property. Kukuha siya ng property belonging to another without the approval of that person. Dapat ang pagkuha or yung act of taking should be entwined with, number 1, it could be intimidation, or number 2, may force, or number 3, using violence. Okay? So pag andyan yung violence, intimidation, or force upon anything, automatic robbery po siya. Pero pag wala yung force, isang tao, he will take a property belonging to another person without force, without intimidation, or without violence, hindi po siya robbery, but rather mahulog po siya under theft. Again, so dapat dito ha, may violence, force, or intimidation. Now, to understand more, punta tayo directly on the elements of robbery. Okay? Una po, dapat may tinatawag tayong bienes muebles. Ano ba itong bienes muebles? Ibig sabihin, a property belonging to another. Tanong, what if yung isang property is only entrusted to another guy? Let's say si Pedro, binigay niya yung cellphone niya kay Juan. Because Juan wanted to borrow that cellphone. So binigay niya kay Juan. And then suddenly, Maria took that cellphone from Juan. Question, will there be robbery considering that Juan was not the main owner of the property? Pag may violence, pag may force, pag may intimidation, kahit si Juan ay hindi may-ari sa cellphone na yan, knowing that the cellphone was entrusted to Juan, still there is robbery being committed. I hope that is very clear. Kahit hindi si Juan yung sole owner, hindi siya yung main owner ng cellphone kasi he just borrowed it from Pedro. If somebody will took it without the permission of Juan, with violence or with intimidation or with force upon thing, mahulog pa din po under robbery. Yan po, bienes muebles ha. Pangalawa, again, asportasyon, unlawful taking of a property. And then, number 3, animus lucrandi. Animus lucrandi, huwag kalimutan, intent to gain po ang ibig sabihin dyan. And number 4, there is violence against or intimidation of any person or pangalawa, may force upon things. Okay? Ang robbery po can be committed by a band. Ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng band, mga kadete? Ang band po again, paulit-ulit na lang po ito, ang band would refer to 4 or more persons. 4 or more persons. Okay? 4 pataas. Or more than 3. Ano ba yung more than 3? Hindi 4, 4 or more than 3. Pareho lang po yan. Committed by a band or with the use of firearms on a street, or it could be committed in a road or alley or by attacking a moving train, streetcar, motor vehicle, or airship, or by entering or taking the passenger conveyance by surprise. Okay? Next, ang robbery with violence or intimidation of persons, may 4 na elements. Kasi again, ang robbery po are subclassified into 2. Una, itong robbery with violence or intimidation of persons. Pangalawa, itong robbery using force upon things. Okay? Unahin po natin yung violence or intimidation of persons. Elements po dito, again, personal property belongs to another. Number 2, unlawful taking of that property. Number 3, intent to gain. And number 4, taking is with violence against or intimidation of persons. So, it could be the robber used a firearm, tinutok sa forehead mo, and if you will not give your cellphone, the person intimidated you, he will pull the trigger, that will qualify for robbery. Okay? It could be violence or intimidation. Now, under violence or intimidation, may 5 klase po tayo. Number 1, itong robbery with homicide. Ano ibig sabihin ng robbery with homicide? There is unlawful taking with violence or intimidation, may namatay. Yan po ibig sabihin dyan. Robbery with rape, intentional mutilation, or the physical injuries. Pangatlo, robbery with physical injuries. That's very easy to understand. Pangapat, robbery committed with unnecessary or with physical injuries. Binugbog yung tao para makuha lang yung cellphone. Pang-5 po is robbery in other cases. So pag hindi po nahulog under 1, 2, 3, and 4, but still committed by intimidation or violence. Committed yung taking by means of violence or intimidation, mahulog pa din po under robbery with violence or intimidation. Okay? Now, yung pangalawang type po ng robbery, itong robbery using force upon things. So, ang pagkakaiba po sa una, it's very simple. Yung una, with intimidation or violence. Let's say, for example, using a firearm, intimidating a person, or threatening a person that he will shoot that person if the property will not be given to him, or binugbog ka para makuha lang yung property. Snatching, for example, mahulog po yan under robbery with intimidation or violence. Pero dito, force upon things, ibig sabihin, ng force upon things, ito po ay isang legal na termino that would refer to the breaking of a property. Pag-iba sa isang propiedad, let us say for example, compartment or cabinet or vault, giniba mo. Okay? Giniba mo in order for you to get the money or get the cash or get a valuable therefrom. Automatic, mahulog po siya under force upon things. Okay? Now, important notes under robbery, una po, if the property is in the possession of the offender, because it was given to him in trust by the owner, the crime is not robbery but rather estafa. Anong ibig sabihin nito? Let us say for example, collector ka ng isang lending company. Of course, magkukolekta ka ngayon ng payment coming from the clients. And then, basically, as a worker in a lending company, you have been entrusted with that payment, with the expectation that you will bring that payment to the agency, back to the agency. Pero the moment you get, let us say, you collected 50,000 pesos. The 50,000 pesos was entrusted to you with an expectation that you will remit it to the agency. Pero ang ginawa mo, you spend it. Alright? You spend it or you steal it. Basically, the crime is not robbery, but the crime is considered to be estafa. Okay? Pangalawa, if taking was lawful, then misappropriated after possession, crime may be considered as malversation. Ano ibig sabihin ng malversation? Makumit lang po ito by public officials or public officers. So, ibig sabihin, there is a specific fund intended to be spent on a particular project. But then again, you misappropriated. Ano ibig sabihin ng misappropriated? Let us say, ang pondo is 1 million. Ang 1 million dapat is designed to be spent in constructing, let us say, a 20-meter roadway. Pero ang ginawa ng politician, instead of spending for the concreting of the roadway, he spent it on the other. Ginamit niya para magbigay ayuda. So basically, the ayuda is not the main intention why there is 1 million. The main intention, bakit may 1 million? Para mapunduhan po yung paggawa po ng roadway. Pero ginawa ng politician, he spent it on the other project. Like pagbigay ng ayuda. So basically, ang tawag po niyan is malversation. You misappropriated po. Misappropriated. Another example, let us say, ang pondo ng government is intended to buy heavy equipment. But then again, instead of buying a heavy equipment, you spend it in constructing a particular building. So, construction of a building is not actually the main intention. Why do you have that fund? That fund was mainly intended in the first place to buy heavy equipment, but you spent it on the other project. Again, misappropriation po ang tawag niyan. So ano po ang kaso? Hindi po robbery, but rather malversation. Okay? Next. As to robbery with violence or intimidation. Okay? Yung unang type. From the moment the offender gains possession of the thing, even if offender has had no opportunity to dispose of the same, the unlawful taking is complete. Okay, klaro yan ha. Kailan magiging kompleto, consummated na yung tinatawag nating unlawful taking? Maging consummated po siya, maging kompleto po the moment the offender has gained possession. Ang ibig sabihin ng has gained possession? Ibig sabihin, yung valuable po, yung property was transferred from a particular place to your hand, to your possession. Okay? So, ibig sabihin dyan, na kumpleto na. Kahit hindi mo, let us say, nakuha mo yung 5 million pesos in your possession, but you do not spend, hindi mo ginasto yung 5 million. Yung 5 million naka-intact pa. Kahit hindi mo ginasto yung 5 million, still the unlawful taking is considered to be complete. Hindi po basihan yung pag-spend, yung paggasto sa pera or sa property. Hindi po basihan ang pag-dispose sa property. Ang basihan po para maging kompleto ang unlawful taking is the moment the offender gains disposition of the property being stolen. Okay? Next, as to robbery with force upon things, the thing must be taken out of the building in order to consummate robbery. Klaro yan ha? Para ma-consummate po yung robbery, anong nakalagay dyan sa slide? Klarong-klaro yan. The property must be taken out from the building. Ano ibig sabihin ng taken out from the building? Ibig sabihin, dapat nakalabas ka. Pag bahay yan, dapat nakalabas ka. Kasi pag hindi ka ba nakalabas, nasa loob ka pa lang, hindi yan. Magiging frustrated yan. Or magiging whatever stage. Pero hindi siya magiging consummated robbery. Dapat nakalabas po ha, para magiging frustrated, para magiging consummated rather, yung robbery. Force upon things po ang pinag-usapan dito ha. Number 5, when there is no intent to gain but there is violence in the taking, the crime is grave coercion. Ano ba grave coercion mga kadite? In a layman's point of view po, layman's point of understanding, it's very easy. You compel somebody, you oblige somebody to perform an act without his voluntariness. Ayaw niya. Ayaw niya pero kinuha mo yung property with violence. Ayaw niyang ibigay sa iyo but you took the property with violence from that person. Even if you do not have any intention. From your end ha, wala kang intention to spend it, to dispose it. Ang ginawa mo, you just took a property from a person with violence. You do not have any intention to dispose it or to spend it. So walang intent to gain. Pag walang intent to gain, but you took a property with violence from the person, the crime is said to be grave coercion. Number 6, Republic Act 6539 or the anti-carnapping law is applicable when property taken in robbery is a motor vehicle. Ito, mga kadete, 6539 anti-carnapping law. Anong ibig sabihin dyan? You steal or you take a motor vehicle from a person without his permission or approval. Yun po. Now, ang tanong ngayon sa board examination, pag electric motor vehicle, ang situation sa board examination, ganito, electric motor vehicle nakapark in front of the house of the victim. Kinuha ng isang tao, pwede bang makapag-file ng kaso na anti-carnapping? The answer is no. Because in the first place, ang electric car is not considered to be a motor vehicle. Ano ba yung definition natin ng motor vehicle? Ang definition po natin ng motor vehicle, yung makikita po natin sa Republic Act 4136. Tingnan nyo po kung anong definition doon. Now, another thing that we have to be reminded of, mga kadete, very, very important po ito. Lumabas po ito sa board examination. Now, in robbery by use of force upon things, necessary po that offender enters the building where object may be found. Take note, wala pong robbery pag walang entry. Question. Ano po ba ang definition natin ng entry? Ang definition po natin is, pag ang whole body po is already inside the building. Pag buong katawan, whole body of the person is inside the building, it automatically constitute entrance. It automatically constitute entering. So pag half of the body lang ang nakapag-entry, or nakapagpasok sa isang building, half lang, automatic, wala po siyang robbery but the crime is considered to be theft. Ang situation po sa board examination ganito. Ang ginawa ni Pedro, knowing na walang tao po sa sari-sari store, kumuha siya ng bato. Sari-sari store ha, in a sari-sari store, may small opening yan, di ba? May small opening in front. So, in-extend ni Pedro yung hand niya, holding the stone, pinukpok niya yung wooden box. Kasi yung wooden box, nakapaloob doon yung pera. Pinukpok niya, kasi nakapadlock yun eh. Pinukpok niya for several times. And then, eventually, nagiba yung wooden box, nakakuha siya ng 10,000 pesos. Now, ang tanong ngayon sa board examination, what crime is committed? So, there is an argument between theft and robbery. Okay? Kasi, ginawa niya, in-extend niya yung hand niya, and then pinukpok niya eh. Pero, yung iba will automatically answer robbery, right? They will answer robbery considering na there is force upon things. Correct, there is force upon things. Kasi gumamit siya ng bato eh. Giniba niya yung wooden box. But in that situation po kasi, even if Pedro used or utilized a stone to destroy, to break the wooden box in order to get the 10,000 pesos, knowing that the whole body of Pedro is not inside the building. It will not constitute robbery, mga kadete, ha. It will only constitute theft. Klaro po yan, ha. Again, I'd like to repeat. Pag half of the body lang, in that situation, si Pedro, in-extend niya lang yung kamay niya or yung hand niya. Gamit ang bato, pinokpok yung box. But again, not whole of the body of Pedro was inside the sari-sari store. So in that case, hindi po siya, kahit pinokpok niya, ha, kahit may force upon things, knowing that the whole body of the person is not inside the building, it will not constitute robbery, but the crime rather is theft. Okay? Sa mga takers natin, ha, take note of that. Pangalawa, under this slide that I want you to remember. Pangalawa po, under this slide. Mag-take note kayo, ha, pag may ballpen kayo dyan. Pag may Bikoy notebook kayo, mas okay po. Pangalawa, passing through the window or passing through an open door and then getting out of a window is not robbery. Okay? Again, passing through an open door but getting out of a window is not robbery but theft. Ang kailanganin po dito to constitute robbery is that the outside door or the outside part of the building intended for entrance must be smashed or must be broken. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, ganito mga kadete, ha, pag giniba mo yung door, pag giniba mo yung gate, in order for you to gain entrance, and then you steal something out from the building, of course, that will constitute robbery. Pero pag ang door is open yung door, so basically, nakapag-entrance ka without any hassle at all. Without any difficulty, nakapasok ka. Without any difficulty kasi open yung door eh. And then in order for you to get out, you break a window. Oh? No difficulty in entering the building. Paglabas mo, giniba mo yung window para makapag-exit ka. Question, ano yung krimen? Still again, it will fall not under robbery. Not robbery but under theft. Kasi po, sa robbery po, ang point po dito is that the outside door or any part of the building intended for entrance must be broken or must be smashed in order to constitute robbery. The lock that is merely removed, yung lock that is merely removed, or the door was merely pushed, hindi po siya robbery but only theft. Pag hindi yan nakalock, and then the suspect just merely, he just pushed it, o when he pushed it, automatically the door open or the gate open. Was there robbery? No, there is no robbery but only theft. Kailanganin po, ha, I'd like to repeat, that the entrance that the part of the building intended for entrance, it could be a gate or it could be a door. It has to be smashed, it has to be broken, it has to be destroyed in order for the suspect to gain entry. Yan po yung force upon things. Okay? Diyan po mag-constitute yung robbery. Okay? So yun po, ha. Pero again, take note again, yung sinasabi ko yung sa una, even if you smash the wooden box containing the money, but not all of your body is inside the building, it will not constitute robbery but only theft. Okay? So be very careful po sa technicalities po under robbery. Alright? I hope I made myself very clear. Okay? May kinds of robbers po tayo. Una, yung career robbers. Ito po yung mga taong pumili ng robbery as their profession. Okay? Profession or as their work. Pangalawa, yung substance habituated robbers. Ito yung nagnanakaw in order to sustain their vices or habit. Pangatlo, yung opportunistic or amateur robber. Ito yung mga tao na hindi kailanganing lifetime offender. Ito lang po yung mga taong waiting for opportunity, walang plano, they will just target low-risk victims, typically use no firearms, and then work alone. Pangapat, professional robbers. Ito yung may plano. Target high-risk commercial establishment Always with firearm and working in group. Okay? Ito po yung mga kinds of robbers ha. Ano ba yung mga ebidensya dapat nating i-collect in order to file for a robbery case? Una, itong testimonial evidence. Testimonial evidence, it could be an affidavit coming from the witnesses or pwede din po affidavit coming from the complainant. Pangalawa, documentary evidence, photograph, CCTV footage, pati na yung sketch, videos, police reports, and other documents. Pwede po yan. Dapat po natin i-collect yan in order to prove that there is a robbery case. Number 3, yung object evidence. Ito yung stolen items, weapons, and other devices. And number 4, any other pertinent documents, any other pertinent evidence that could help you file the robbery case. Okay? May 16 po tayo na checklist for robbery. Una dito, find out as much as possible the crime before going to the scene and upon arrival. Bakit po? Kasi pag alam mo na, if you have a projection na ito po yung krimen, you will have the idea to as to what particular evidence you are going to gather in order to file a certain case. May alam ka na. You can project, ito pala yung mga ebidensya that I have to be collecting in order for me to prove that this is really the crime that happened. Pangalawa, overview. Take your bearings at the scene so that you get a rough picture of the area and what has happened. Number 3, ito, importante ito, action log. Ano ba yung action log? From the word log, ito po yung parang diary. It's basically the list of things that you do in chronological order yan based on the time and date. These are the things and activities that you do or you perform in accordance to the robbery case. Okay? Pang-apat, cordon the area or extend the existing cordon if necessary. Make sure that a list is made of the people who entered the crime scene. But as much as possible mga kadete unauthorized persons should not be allowed inside the crime scene. Okay? Next, pause for thought and start planning. This is where the crime scene analysis start. Note down your observation continuously. Pag 1 terabyte yung utak mo, you do not need to list down. Pero pag 500 megabytes lang yung utak, it's very important yung note-taking. Kasi po, human being as we are capable of forgetting. We might remember today at this particular hour, but time will come. Let us say after a day, after 24 hours, there might be a possibility that what we remember today might be forgotten. So, it is much important na nakapag jot down po tayo. Next, take a general photograph of the scene. Bakit kailanganin yung general photograph? Para malaman po natin yung point of entrance at saka yung point of exit. Search for and collect pieces of evidence. Take photographs continuously. Importante po ito. If the robbery was video, film, or CCTV, view the video to see where the evidence might be found. Number 12, seize any video recordings and films in still cameras. Pero mga kadete, by the way, pag CCTV footage po yan, kailanganin po natin yung court order dyan, yung court order. Para po we can seize or we can have possession of the CCTV footage. Next, number 13, draw a sketch. Ang sketch po natin, dalawang klase po yan generally. Yung rough sketch na ginagawa po natin in the crime scene at saka yung finished sketch. Yung ginawa po natin sa crime scene, rough sketch po ang tawag. Yung ginamit po natin para po court presentation, tinatawag po siyang finished sketch. Yung sketches po, specifically, may 4 po yan. Sketch of grounds, sketch of locality, sketch of details, at saka yung cross-projection sketch. Dapat alam nyo na po yan nasa Fundamentals of Criminal Investigation po yan na topic. Next, write a continuous seizure report. Next, find out whether the proceeds of the robbery included bait money. Ang tanong, ano ba ibig sabihin ng bait money, mga kadets? Ibig sabihin ng bait money, kindly jot this down. Ibig sabihin ng bait money, from the word bait, it's basically a particular money. It could be 1,000 pesos, 5,000 pesos of any value, wherein the serial numbers thereof have been recorded by the bank. The purpose of recording the serial numbers is for the bank to track down the suspects or to track down bank robbers. So pag nasa position ni Pedro, yung 1,000 pesos for example, and the 1,000 pesos, ang serial number niyan, is recorded by the bank. Ibig sabihin, it was Pedro who stole the money. Or probably, Pedro received it from another guy. So, the bank can have a lead kung sino po yung tao na kumuha, na nagnakaw sa bangko, considering that the serial numbers of the money taken from the bank have been recorded by the bank, basically. So, pag ikaw yung nagnakaw, hindi mo alam yung ninakaw mo, yung pera pala na ninakaw mo, yung serial numbers niyan have been recorded by the bank, patay ka. Kasi po, if the police officers can trace you, makikita yung pera na nasa iyo with the serial number recorded by the bank, it could be concluded na ikaw po yung suspetsado, na ikaw mismo yung nag-commit sa pagnanakaw. Okay? Yun po ang ibig sabihin ng bait money ha. Ang bait money is just set of bills, set of money. Yung serial numbers sa pera na yan was recorded or are recorded by the bank. The purpose thereof is to track the bank robbers. Okay? So yan po ha. Number 16, check the crime scene before you leave it. Okay? Sino ba yung mag-check ng crime scene? Yung team leader sa SOCO, di ba? Tinatawag po yung final survey. Sa final survey, yung team leader will get inside the crime scene and mag-final survey siya to find out probably there is an additional evidence. Pag wala talaga, ano gagawin ng team leader? I-release yung crime scene. Diba? Release the crime scene. Yun po yung pinakalas na step under crime scene processing. Okay? So yun po. Next, entry route. After a robbery, it is important to investigate how the offender got in. Bakit po importante yung entrance again? Kasi po, ang entrance will tell whether there is robbery or whether there is theft. Ang sabi ko po kanina, pag ang entrance, by examining thereof, the door or the gate was merely pushed or probably the lock was merely removed, it will not constitute robbery but rather theft. That is the reason why na dapat yung investigator in a robbery case should investigate the entrance, how the offender got in. It is important to find the entry route which is not necessarily a door. Check the function of the lock and check whether there are any pick marks. Next, ask the victim. Find out from the victim what has been stolen and where there are traces of objects being moved by the perpetrator. Then latent footwear prints. Paper on the floor is always of interest since there may be latent footwear prints to it. Prints on it. Collect all paper and then look for footwear prints on the paper at your unit or send the papers to the crime laboratory for examination. Pwede din po yung latent prints po natin, yung fingerprint. Okay? Pag doorknob yan, there might be a possibility that you can get a latent print from the doorknob. Pag vault yan, there's also a big possibility that there might be latent prints that is transferred to the door, to the vault. So, yung mga shiny surfaces po, pwede ka pong makakuha ng fingerprint dyan. Okay? Not just the latent footwear prints, but also the latent fingerprints. Okay? Next, itong tinatawag nating brigandage or highway robbery. Pareho lang po yan. Brigandage, highway robbery. Highway robbery, brigandage po. Anong ibig sabihin ng brigandage or highway robbery? It's just a type of robbery committed in a Philippine highway. Yun po ang pagkakaiba dyan sa robbery mentioned a while ago and this brigandage. Alright? Now, to understand more mga kadete, tingnan po natin yung mga elements. Una, the offense is committed by at least 4 armed men. Okay? 4 or more than 3. Pangalawa, the perpetrator formed a band for the purpose of committing any or all of the following: robbery in the highway, or kidnap persons for ransom, attain any other purpose by means of force and violence, there is a preconceived or intended victim. So, let us say for example, isang bus, target nyo po is i-hijack yung isang bus para makapagnakaw kayo ng cellphone, pera, any other important valuables from the passengers inside that bus. pasok po yan sa tinatawag nating highway robbery or brigandage. Okay? Ano po ba yung mga ebidensya na dapat ikala po natin for the crime of robbery? For the crime of brigandage rather. Una, testimonial evidence, pareho lang din po. Affidavit to complainant and witnesses. Documentary evidence, object evidence, and then other relevant evidence that will tell that this particular persons committed brigandage. Okay? Sunod, aside from robbery mga kadete, pangalawang krimen po na nakalagay sa table of specification natin po is itong tinatawag nating theft. Kanina sabi ko po, pag walang intimidation, walang force upon things, walang violence, yung pagnanakaw na yan is considered to be a theft. Okay? Yan lang po ang difference between robbery and theft, aside from the spelling. Sa robbery, may intimidation, may force upon things, or probably there is violence. Pero sa theft, walang violence, walang intimidation, okay? Or walang force upon things, okay? So, ang ano po natin, yung elements po natin, same pa din po sa robbery, different lang po sila sa pang-apat, okay? Next, modes of theft, una po, asportasyon or asportation. It is the carrying away of someone else's property. The taking is accomplished without violence or intimidation or force upon things. That's very self-explanatory. Pangalawa, lost property. Ito, lost property. The perpetrator finds a lost item or property and failed or did not intend to deliver the lost property to its rightful owner. Pwede ka po. You can be filed with a case theft. Nakakita ka ng let's say, iPhone 16. Nakita mo sa daan. Alam mo that there is an owner thereof, but you do not have any intention to return the cell phone. Or probably you saw a bag filled with, let us say, 1,000 pesos bills. And when you count it, you were able to sum up 100,000 pesos worth of cash. Sayang naman pag isa uli. So you did not have any intention to return it to the owner. Nako, patay ka. Theft ang kaso mo. Pangatlo, damage to property. This is another mode. The offender maliciously damages the property of another and removes or makes use of the fruits of the object of the damage caused by him. Ito, nangyayari ito sa totoong buhay. Yung kapitbahay po namin, giniba niya yung motorcycle sa kaibigan niya. Giniba yung motorcycle, pagkatapos, chinap-chap yung motorcycle, kinuha yung front wheel at saka yung other parts of the motorcycle. Kinuha niya, ginamit niya, nilagay niya sa personal motorcycle niya. So, ano nangyari? Pwede, pasok po yan sa theft. Giniba mo yung property, after mo na chop-chop yung property, may mga other parts, spare parts na pwede pa magagamit, ginamit mo. Ay nako, damage to property, that's another mode of theft. Pang-last na mode, hunting or gathering. Ano bang nangyari sa mode na ito? It's another mode of theft wherein the violator will enter without any approval or permission from the owner. He will enter an enclosed estate. Dapat enclosed ibig sabihin may fence yan. May nakalagay, no trespassing. But then again, umakyat ka. And then you hunt or you do fishing. Or yung iba dyan, magagather ng crops without the consent of the owner. May bakod, may fence, ang taas-taas ng fence, inakyat mo para makapagnakaw ka ng mangga, makapagnakaw ka ng boko. That's basically still under theft. Theft pa din po, apat yung modes po natin. Yung una is asportation, yung unlawful taking po without violence. Yung lost, pangalawa, yung lost property. May nakita kang property, you do not have any intention to return it. Damage to property, ibig sabihin, giniba mo yung property tapos you make use of some parts thereof or make use of the fruits of the object. Then, pangapat, hunting or gathering, there is an enclosed estate, umakyat ka, pumasok ka without the permission. or the approval of the owner, and then you hunt, you fish, or you gather crabs. Alright? Now, pag magtanong sa inyo ang board examination, ang pagkakaiba sa larceny at saka sa theft. Ang larceny po at saka theft, pareho lang yan, kadete ha. Pero, ang larceny po is a term. It's a legal term na ginamit po in other countries to signify that it is a theft. Sa bansa po natin, sa Revised Penal Code po sa Pilipinas, hindi po larceny yung term na ginamit po natin. Hindi po larceny ha. Ang ginagamit po natin is yung word na theft. Okay? Now, another mode of theft na hindi po nasali in the previous slide, itong tinatawag nating pilferage. Okay? Pilferage at saka yung shoplifting. Ano ba ang pagkakaiba sa pilferage at saka yung shoplifting? Ang pilferage, empleyado ka. Ninakaw mo yung bond paper sa opisina mo. That's pilferage. Ibig sabihin, you steal something from, usually of small value po ito. You steal something from your office or you steal something from your company. Alright? Pilferage po yan. Ang shoplifting on the other hand, ang shoplifting, ibig sabihin, hindi ka empleyado, pumunta ka doon sa store and you steal small objects, small valuables. Let's say you steal a ball pen, you steal a paper, anything of small value. In pilferage, persons liable are employees of the company or industry, while in shoplifting, the customers of the industry are the offenders. That's very clear. Techniques of thieves, una, lifting, picking a property while the owner is not looking, or pangalawa, itong tinatawag nating dipping. Ano ba itong dipping? Involves reaching into the victim's purse, pocket or bag in which the victim is wearing and taking without the victim's knowledge. Ito, syndicated type of act ang dipping in some other areas in Luzon, right? Makikita natin sa CCTV footage. May lookout, may principal perpetrator of the crime, may mag-distract sa customer or sa victim, and then they perform the act, right? It's very common. Slashing, cutting the straps of the victim's bag to gain easier access to the property, or distraction, distracting the victim by engaging the accomplice a conversation with the victim so he or she should have the less care to his or her surroundings. Ito, nangyayari ito in various areas in the National Capital Region. Makikita po natin sa mga CCTV footages, di ba? So, probably because of poverty, maybe. Or probably it could be because of indolence or the character of being lazy by Pinoys. Gusto easy money eh. So, kaya magnakaw. Next, estafa. Ano ba ang estafa? Na-mention po ito kanina, di ba? If you are entrusted with a property, but then again, you spend that property or you dispose that property, the crime is considered to be estafa. The example that I gave you a while ago is that if you are a collector of a lending company, let's say nakapag-collect ka ngayon ng 50,000 pesos, instead of remitting the 50,000 pesos to the company, ang ginawa mo, you spend it for your personal use. That's basically estafa. Okay? Estafa is the act of defrauding another party through deceit, false representation, or breach of confidence. Yung example sa kanina po, yung collector, nasa breach of confidence po siya. Pwede din po through deceit. Ibig sabihin, lying, a form of lying. Or false representation. Ibig sabihin ng false representation, you pretend that you are somebody else where in fact you are not. Let's say you pretend that you are a lawyer. And then you collect an amount from that person because you pretend that you are a lawyer. In reality, you are not. Tapos na-entrap ka, you got arrested, the case is considered to be estafa. Okay? Main types of estafa. Una dito, estafa through unfaithfulness or abuse of confidence. Okay? Balikan po natin ha. This type of estafa occurs when an individual is entrusted with property and misappropriates, converts, or denies ownership of that property, resulting in damage to the property who originally entrusted the property. Okay? Punta tayo sa elements diretso para mas maintindihan po natin. Una, ang accused po received money, pwedeng goods, or any other personal property from the offended party. Pangalawa, that the accused misappropriated, converted, or denied having received such money, goods, or property. Pwedeng misappropriated ha. Pwede din converted. Ano ibig sabihin ng converted? Let's say I entrust you with my motorcycle. I entrust you with my motorcycle. So ang tao who received the motorcycle, instead of taking care of the motorcycle, bininta niya. But he did not own the motorcycle. So basically, it's an example of conversion. Okay? Bininta mo eh. Hindi sa iyo ang motorcycle, akin yan. Ba't mo bininta? Alright? Conversion, or pwede din po, denied having received such money. He denied receiving such money, or he denied receiving the goods, or he denied receiving the property. Pangatlo, that such misappropriation or conversion was made to the prejudice of the offended party. Ibig sabihin ng prejudice, it's something that is unfair or bias to the offended party, to the owner of the property. Next, that there was either an obligation to return the same property or deliver its equivalent value. So, example dito, another example na nakalagay po, a business partnership where one party is entrusted with funds for a specific purpose, but the entrusted party uses the funds for personal gain. That's very common nowadays. Yung mga business partners, diba? Binigyan mo ng 50,000 pesos para palaguin yung negosyo. Pero yung binigay mo na 15,000, binili lang ng Red Horse. Automatic. Pasok kayo. Pasok yan sa estafa. Okay? Pangalawa, estafa by means of deceit. Okay? This is a form of lying. This form of estafa involves the use of fraudulent means to induce another party to part with their property or money. Una, there must be deceit or fraud used by the accused. Any kind of deceit ha. Pangalawa, the deceit must have induced the offended party to part with their money or property. Number 3, as a result of the fraudulent action, the offended party suffers damage. Nalagyan ko po ng example para mas klaro. Ang example dito, an individual sells a product or service under false pretenses, such as claiming ownership of a property they do not actually own, thereby causing financial loss to the buyer. Common din po yan sa Negros Oriental. Let's say, for example, yung isang land, yung isang real property, let's say 1,000 square meter na lupa, bininta ni Tarpulano. Pagkatapos pagbinta ni Tarpulano, nabigyan siya ng let's say 1 million pesos. Ang ginawa niya, kasi hindi pa na-proseso ni Tarpulano, bininta niya uli yung same land. Same square meter, number of square meter, bininta niya ngayon ni Maria. So dalawa na yung buyer. Nako, pasok ka ngayon sa estafa by means of deceit. Napaka-common po yan dito. Or ito ha mga kaditi, common din po ito, renta, yung pagrenta po ng car, di ba? Car for rent, for example, car for rent na business. Tapos what you do is you rented a car and then you pretend that you are the owner of the car. Bininta mo ngayon for the amount, let's say 200,000 pesos lang. Of course, yung buyer will have to buy it because napakamura. Imagine, 200 pesos. Let's say, ang car mo is Vios. So, Toyota Vios yung car. Tapos, bininta mo, 200,000. But then, the buyer does not know that it was just a rented car. So, it happened all the time here in Negros Oriental. Rented car, yung nag-rent, bininta niya yung sasakyan. So, basically, pasok yan sa estafa by means of deceit. Panloloko po. Next, estafa through other fraudulent means involves schemes designed to defraud others. Examples include false pretenses regarding one's qualifications or abilities to secure money or services from others. Again, you pretend that you are a lawyer. You pretend that you are a prosecutor, that you can fix the crime. You are pretending that you are an accountant, where in reality, you are not. Mga pretensions. Estafa po. Elements dito, the accused employed fraudulent means to secure money or property. Such fraudulent means induced the offended party to part with their property or money. The act resulted in prejudice or damage to the offended party. Di ba mga kadete, usually we receive text messages na magsasabi po that we won 10 million pesos and that we have to call this attorney. And once we call the attorney will ask us to load him with 300 pesos. Pag nagbigyan mo na ng load, ang nagpapanggap na attorney will ask or will demand for 5,000 pesos in payment for the processing fee para makuha yung 10 million. That's still a form of estafa under other fraudulent means. Okay? So, ano ang gagawin? Evidence and burden of proof in estafa cases, dapat nakakuha ka ng ebidensya. Documentary evidence, this may include receipts, bank statements, kontrata, communications, either email or text messages that will tell that there is a fraudulent transaction na may panlulokong nangyayari. Pangalawa, testimonial evidence. It could be coming from witnesses, complainant, or even expert witnesses. Anybody who can testify against the offender. Number 3, demonstrative and circumstantial evidence. Ano ba itong circumstantial evidence? Ito po yung mga ebidensya that are consisting of events and situations. Okay? Events and situations po yan. So, demonstrative evidences or demonstrative evidence or circumstantial evidence pwede pong magamit po in order to prove that there is an estafa that happened. Alright? Next, tapos na po tayo mga kadete sa robbery, theft, brigandage, estafa. Punta naman tayo sa anti-carnapping. Okay? Kanina po, I also mentioned about this. So sa anti-carnapping, pag ang ninakaw is a property that is defined to be a motor vehicle, ang krimen po is carnapping. Okay? Ang anti-carnapping law, which is Republic Act 6539, was amended by Republic Act 10883, an act providing for a new anti-carnapping law of the Philippines. Ito na po yung bago Republic Act 10883. Okay? Ano ba ang carnapping? Taking with intent to gain of a motor vehicle belonging to another without the latter's consent or by means of violence against or intimidation of persons or by using force upon things. Basically, pagkuha, pagnakaw ng motor vehicle. Okay? Now, kanina, sabi ko sa inyo, mag-check kayo sa Republic Act 413. I actually discussed this very comprehensively in traffic management kung ano ba yung definition ng motor vehicle. But just to reiterate, ang motor vehicle po refers to any vehicle propelled by any power other than muscular power using the public highway. Trailers having any number of wheels when propelled or intended to be propelled by attachment to a motor vehicle shall be classified as a separate motor vehicle with no power rating. Note that the following are not embraced in the definition of a motor vehicle. Therefore, dili carnapping. Hindi siya carnapping. Una dito, road rollers, trolley cars, street sweepers, sprinklers, lawn mowers, mga bulldozer, grader, forklifts, amphibian trucks, even cranes, if not used on public highway, cannot be included under the motor vehicle definition. So therefore, pag ang ninakaw is bulldozer, you cannot file a case of carnapping kasi ang bulldozer hindi po siya motor vehicle. Pangalawa, vehicles which run only on rails or tracks. Ang ninakaw is train. Imagine, ang train ninakaw. May carnapping ba? Wala. Kasi po, hindi po siya kasali sa definition under motor vehicle. Next, tractors, trailers, and traction engines of all kinds used exclusively for agriculture purposes are not also included under the definition of motor vehicle. So, you cannot file a carnapping case. Okay? So, what is the crime committed if the vehicle taken is expressly excluded by the new Anti-Carnapping Act? Okay, ito Pag ang ninakaw ay hindi kasali, excluded siya sa definition ng motor vehicle. Ano po ba yung krimen? Ang krimen is theft, particularly qualified theft. So, sa board examination, pag ang choices is letter A, theft, letter B, qualified theft, mga kadete, ang answer nyo po is qualified theft. Okay? Qualified theft, ha? So, what are the penalties for carnapping under the new law, under 10883? Imprisonment po, 20 to 40 years. This is reclusion perpetua, depending on the circumstances. If violence, intimidation, or use of force against the car's occupants is involved, the penalty can be life imprisonment. Alright? So, what are the requirements for proving carnapping in the court? Una, dapat may unlawful taking or seizure of a motor vehicle. Pangalawa, dapat may intent to gain. Pangatlo is absence of the owner's consent. That's very easy to understand, cadets. No need to explain. Next, what are other unlawful acts under the new law? Una, ito concealment of carnapping. Kahit alam mo, but you do not, you conceal. You conceal in order for authorities to be misled with the information. Pangalawa, willfully encoding in the registry of motor vehicles a non-existing. Parang ghost vehicle. Ghost vehicle. Or without history, new identity of already existing vehicle or double, multiple registration. Dalawang rehistro niya or tatlong rehistro niya. Pwedeng encoding a non-existing vehicle or new identity of already existing vehicle. Ibig sabihin, dalawa yung registration niya. Pangatlo, defacing or tampering with serial numbers of motor vehicle engines. Or engine blocks and chassis. Di po pwede yan. Pangapat, identity transfer. Identity transfer pag walang approval or walang approval or walang consent coming from the owner. Number 5, transfer of vehicle plate. Di po pwede yan. It happened a lot of times. In committing a crime, yung plate number ng isang motor vehicle, yun po ang ginamit sa isang vehicle. Or exchanging of plate numbers, that's a very grave act, a violation of the anti-carnapping law. Sale of second-hand spare parts. Yung mga second-hand spare parts din po, sa may mga negosyo dyan. Sale of second-hand spare parts is not allowed under the new carnapping law. When is the crime of carnapping bailable? Pag hindi po strong yung evidence, pwede po na maging makapagpiansa po yung offender. Under Republic Act number 10883, when the crime of carnapping is committed by criminal groups, or gangs, or sindikato, or by means of violence, or intimidation of any person or persons, or force upon things, or when the owner, or the driver, the passenger, or occupant of the carnap vehicle pinatay siya, or nirape siya in the course of carnapping, automatic, ang offender shall be denied, shall not access with the bail. Walang piyansa. Yun po ang ibig sabihin dyan. Okay? Right, so mga kadete, I'd like to stop under this topic, anti-carnapping. Yung remaining topics po, yung anti-fencing, tsaka yung other crimes, ilagay po natin sa episode 3. Maraming salamat po sa pagkikinig sa Bicoino. God bless and ingat po ang lahat.